Hello and welcome to Skincare Confidential, the podcast supporting the Science of Skin Summit. My name is Dr. Ted Lain. I'm a board-certified dermatologist and your host today. And I am so pleased to welcome our guest, Beth Corson. Beth, thank you so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here, Ted. How are you today?
Doing great, Beth. So Beth is the CEO of RegenX Science. And, you know, in Skincare Confidential, we try and kind of give people a 360 view of what's happening in the skincare industry and talk about what's new and next. And I think what Beth's company is working on is really what is next, not only the ingredient and the really interesting technology behind it, but also the theme of her company and what they're trying to do and kind of disrupt the skincare industry. So Beth, I mean, I kind of teased it a little bit, so maybe we should just talk about what RegenX Science is doing, which is really interesting. And from my understanding, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, of course, but it really started with this idea of the salamander's kind of ability to repair itself, and understanding the protein that really helps it do that. Is that correct?
Yes. So RegenX Science was founded on the idea of the axolotl and learning more about the axolotl's regenerative powers, why it regenerates so well, and how we could translate that potentially for humans. So what's unique about the axolotl is that if you can cut out up to a third of its heart, you can cut out up to half of its brain, and it will regrow its brain. It'll regrow its heart while it's still living and functioning and swimming and surviving beautifully in the wild. You can cut off their limbs hundreds of times over, and they will regenerate perfectly every single time. You can crush their spine to powder, and it will regenerate. So what we started with is looking at the axolotl and how it regenerates and how to translate that into humans. Since that day, so many years ago, I think 9 years ago, to today, we have, created 17 different products, and we have everything from cruelty-free skincare line that doesn't touch the axolotl to, biologics that can help a burn patient cure a third-degree burn 92% in just 7 days. So
wow.
Really incredible work, but it's all inspired by that cute little salamander, the axolotl, as you mentioned, Ted.
And Beth, you're in South Florida. Is the axolotl, is that its habitat as well?
So the axolotl actually was originally from Lake Xochimilco. That's Xochimilco.
Whatever.
And out of Mexico City, Mexico.
Okay.
So they like it cold. They like it 65 degrees is kind of ideal for them. There's actually a TED Talk about some nuns in Mexico that have been using axolotl for years to do cough medicine, cough syrup, and to heal burns. So it's been studied for many, many, many years, but they're not born or raised in South Florida, and the axolotls that we're researching are not located in Florida either. We have 3 labs on the eastern seaboard of the United States.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How you don't really have a history in skincare, right? Before this company?
No, not at all.
No. Yeah, this
Not
is so
at all.
interesting. Can you walk us through like how your career path led you to form RegenX Science?
Sure. But let me just back up a minute, because this is the conversation that sparked this whole idea for you to bring me on here, was the comment that I come from a long line of overachievers.
That's right.
And so my great-great-grandfather, Matt Mann, Olympic swim and dive coach. My grandmother founded the International Swimming Hall of Fame. My aunt, one of them went to 2 Olympics. The other one runs marathons and turns around and runs them back. So I don't think anyone in our family understands the word no, or
Okay.
you can't do that. It just, we could do anything, right? Anything we put our mind to. So, my background is actually business and finance, which is highly unusual, to be able to, work with scientists and medical doctors. But it's been very beneficial from the fundraising perspective and from actually running the business. So, I am a California CPA, and I'm an alumni of Ernst & Young. And when I started with Ernst & Young, I was doing mergers and acquisitions. And so that was a long time, 27 years ago. So I ultimately started a consulting firm, a boutique consulting firm that specialized in taking what I knew from mergers and acquisitions and basically applying it to smaller companies that were just looking to raise their next 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, and applying the same level of diligence. So consequently, I started that in 2005. Consequently, I've seen thousands and thousands of deals. I've seen so many entrepreneurs and serial entrepreneurs and investors, and there never has been a deal that I was interested in until this one. And it was, yeah, it was the regenerative capacity of the axolotl. I really thought there is so much that can be done here that I turned my practice over to my business partner, who I've known forever, Zen. She's fantastic and ironically very Zen. And she's been running Boardwalk since, and I've been focusing on RegenX Science. And so we started from scratch and filed patents. We have 8 patents today and 110 shareholders. We've raised $22 million. And we have 17 products in various stages of development, and a few of those that we've done some clinical trials with your team, Ted.
That's right. That's right. That's how I've been exposed to this quite a bit. So, wow, Beth. So absolutely no experience in skincare, but this deal kind of came across your desk, and you saw, you felt like this was really interesting, and so you kind of did what your family does, and you just decided to do it.
Exactly. Well, I also and our good friend Jill Weibel is definitely plays a big role in this whole journey. So does Dave McDaniel and a couple other. So I went to the very, very top, the leaders in skincare, in regenerative medicine, and really had them vet this whole idea to see if it had merit. And so I still work with all of those, and Dr. Charles Boyd, facial plastic surgery. So I brought on some really heavy hitters, yourself included, when it was time for clinical trials, to help me along this journey, and really listened to the advice they gave. And when they said, no, stop, this is not going to work, or the science is telling us that we need to head in another direction, or we need to do some further studies. We need to, got an amazing team of PhDs. One of those is Ramon Montero, and his specialty is in this space. And he'll come in and say, we need another 3 months on product development. And I will always say yes and listen. Let the experts do what they're very good at. That's what we like to do.
Yeah. Well, we were involved in a few trials, and we're submitting abstracts to the Science of Skin Summit based on those trials. So we can't really talk about the results right now until they're published at the summit, but I can tell you they're very exciting, and it looks like this novel technology really does have beneficial effects based on the different metrics that we looked at. So I'm excited about it. And as you said, it first started off with the axolotl, and now you're doing essentially, I guess you'll have to tell me exactly how it works. Is it some maybe recombinant technology such that it's cruelty-free and absolutely not animal derived at all? Is that about right?
Not quite.
Okay.
But there are a few secrets. We
Which we
may
will
need to
not
save
share.
that for another day.
Okay, but it's
um,
cruelty free, so we know that now we're working with products that are not animal derived at all. Um,
yes,
and
yes.
so that's really really interesting. And I think as we talked about the axolotl, really what the primary ingredient that I understand is the Uredel collagen. And that seems to really make a big difference. Can you just explain what that is?
So sure, the Uredel collagen extract, that was in our last round of products that we did. And that's based on gelatinized, decellularized extracellular matrix
Okay.
from the axolotl. And so it's perfect for wound care and optimizing healing. And since then, we got some feedback and said, really, if we wanted to do a line of skincare, which would be, the perfect segue here, that we needed to go cruelty free. So, Ted, we developed. We don't have recombinant proteins yet. We do have a cell line, an immortal cell line. We do have supernatant. We do have cell culture. We also have spent media that the cell culture was growing in.
Hmm.
And we have another product that's our favorite right now. It's called Purified Uredel Protein Substrate, or we call it PUPS for
Hmm.
short. And it's actually made from the water that the babies swim in.
Okay.
That is the
Okay.
secret right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thinking
And all
kind
of
of,
this has been patented. So
yeah,
I'm free to talk about
a-
certain
absolutely.
aspects. Yes.
Absolutely. So it's kind of like if we make an analogy within skincare right now, we have a lot of products that are including the secretome, right? Which is kind of they have stem cells in culture or and the product of the stem cells is in the secretome, what the stem cells secretes, which includes growth factors and exosomes and all sorts of non-inflammatory and possibly inflammatory cytokines, and that secretome product is then included in a formulation for skincare. And I kind of analogize that to the water which the babies are swimming in. That is kind of probably full of growth factors and all sorts of amazing things.
It is. It is. So, we started out like we do with anything with proteomics, looking at what's in it, what's the composition,
Hmm.
and then we moved on to genomics, and we have a great team that does the gene marker studies for us. And then, of course, now and then we completed our safety studies, and now we're moving into clinical trials. But what is in it? So there are a number of really good. It's kind of the magic juice, if you will. There's proteins and peptides, and
Sure.
they provide anti-inflammatory signaling. There's glucosaminoglycans, GAGs, and
Hmm.
yes, there are growth factors.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yep.
As you'd imagine.
Mhm.
So I know we started talking about wound repair, which is kind of at the very beginning with the axolotl and its ability to regenerate. Wound repair makes a lot of sense for that. And I think you said that you're submitting an IND. Is that right?
We are. We are.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Okay.
correct.
So
Yep.
you're
We
actually,
just finished setting up our clean room.
oh
Yes.
my goodness. So
Yeah.
you're actually working on two different pathways simultaneously, the skincare OTC pathway as well as the FDA pathway.
Yes, that's correct.
Ooh, that's a lot.
Multiple FDA pathways. Well,
Multiple FDA pathways. Okay.
yep.
And again, you have no experience in this at all. So you really are kind of, it's just impressive then.
Well, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you. You surround yourself with experts,
Hmm.
and you really empower them and give them the tools that they need to do their job well, and let them shine. It's amazing what a really good group of people coming together can accomplish. I can't take credit for, but there's one of my favorite sayings is, if you have a freight train that is headed down the tracks at 65 miles an hour. Have you heard this one?
No, tell me.
65 miles an hour headed down the track, it can bust through a 5 foot thick steel reinforced concrete wall without even stopping, without hesitating, as though it didn't exist. But that same freight train, if there's just a small 1 inch block of wood right in front of the driving wheel sitting on the track, from dead stop, it won't move at all. So we like to be that freight train that has got the momentum and continues to move forward and, find solutions to everyday obstacles that we come across.
I think the fuel for the freight train, right? It has been the funding that you've been able to get. And that has been, it's pretty remarkable, your ability to fundraise, really. As I look at and work with lots of different small companies, fundraising tends to be one of the most difficult aspects. And I suppose your experience, right, within M&A and from being a CPA has probably helped you, as well as your contacts. But if you could give any advice, Beth, to small companies, to small, entrepreneurial CEOs who are trying to raise their first few $100,000 even to get their idea off the ground, is there anything that you could kind of share some wisdom about that?
Sure. That's a great question. And thank you for saying so. That means a lot. I think just there's a lot that goes into running a business, but having a clear path forward and being able to communicate that message simply. Investors bet on the management team, the whole team, and they're not looking for perfection. But they want to believe in your vision, and it's not just the product, it's also the whole team. And so I think for us, something that has really helped for our investors to continue, we have one investor that's invested with us 25 times, and he reaches out every couple of weeks, and if we ask for more, he'd be happy to do that. But what's really helped for us is when, we'll bring an investor in, we'll do a shareholder tour and have them meet the team and they'll sit with, Ramon for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. They'll sit with Isabel Lavelle for, she's our head of quality, and for 10, 15 minutes. And we'll jump on a call with Ernie, who runs our Axolotl factory. And we allow them, to come inside and to get to know us a little better. It takes more time, but it really solidifies the relationship. It deepens the relationship. And of course, many of our shareholders have gone to see Dr. Weibel or gone to see Dr. Boyd, and we'll start sending some your way too.
Yeah. So that's a good point. I mean, you really have surrounded yourself by incredible people, and certainly Dr. Weibel, I know more than Dr. Boyd, but I'd certainly understand Dr. Boyd is a leader in facial plastics as well. And Dr. Weibel certainly in the skincare and the laser space. So it's great to have those people in your corner. As the investors come across, you could say, hey, look, these people have been with us from day one and they're part of our advisory board. I think that makes a lot of sense.
It does, it does. And really listening to them and making sure that they have what they need to do their job well and that they're getting heard, I think, from a management position really has helped us to avoid any issues. We make sure we're all on the same page, and you'll see that on our next call, that we like to all be in sync. And it makes it a lot easier to move forward. And then another item for those that are raising money is, really have a clear plan and an exit strategy from the beginning, so that an investor can understand where they fit into your plan. So I think that's important, to choose your investors wisely. Don't just take the first money that comes. We've turned down a lot of money that just wasn't the right fit for us at the time. We've never taken any venture capital. And we still, to this day, our board of directors is very small. And so it allows us to be flexible, and it allows us to focus because there's not, I know some companies that have 10, 12, 15 people on their board, and that's a lot of voices to manage. So we'd rather have a few voices that, are very clear. I think, Jill would tell you, we talk probably 3 or 4 times a week. We talk all the time. And so it really helps to make things simple. I'm not trying to relay what happened in one conversation 15 times over or convince everyone that this is a good next step. We're able to move quickly by keeping it lean, and we're able to execute quickly on changes in strategy.
I've heard from some companies that there's been some pushback from the investment community in skincare in particular. People are starting to kind of move their money away in the regenerative area, but away from skincare. And has that been your experience, or do you feel like there's still quite an interest from the investors in skincare and the ability for us to kind of make changes to the skin just using topical treatments?
I think there's absolutely an interest in making changes to the skin from topical treatments. I have one of our recent investors. He just reinvested. He was very interested in our erase product that can, take brown spots. And, this is a successful serial entrepreneur who's already had an exit, and he's going out on his boat every day, but his hands have brown spots, and so being closer to your investors and really understanding what's important to them, I think helps them to open up. But many of our male investors will go and get a laser treatment and then apply our post-procedure product after, and they don't tell their friends that they did it, but they invest more. Yeah, I think one-on-one meetings would probably be more helpful if there's some kind of stigma around skincare and men investing in skincare. Maybe just get them one-on-one.
There you go. Well, that's one way of getting men involved in skincare. I mean, that's one of the biggest enigmas in the skincare industry is how do we get more men to kind of buy into the benefits of skincare? Perhaps the way to do it is to let them buy into the company.
There you go. Have them buy into the company. Yes. And then they start to sign. But initially it always started with the wives. Oh, okay. Well, my wife or my female investors, right? And they're going to go get work done. But then they come back and they look so much better. And after the 3rd or 4th visit, their wife's looking 10 years younger and they're not. And so they're like, wait a minute, hold on here. I think Beth, I'll take her for the next visit. I'll drive her down there. I just want to see what's going on. And then I'm like, it's okay. I had one guy that he didn't want to tell his wife he was going to go. And he went she was on a trip, and he went while she was on the trip. And so he did it. It took a lot of courage, and he did it and went down and got his lasers and his light lasers and Botox and just a little tiny bit Botox and Juvederm. And boy, there were 100 pictures on Facebook a couple weeks later when he saw the results. It's just, that there's also something, and I heard one of your other podcasts that talked about, mental wellness, mental health, and the effect of, looking at your face and being happy with what you see in the mirror. And how that, that can help with things like depression. It was a fascinating podcast, by the way.
Thank you. So, you've been in this space now for almost a decade, right? And so you've seen a lot, I'm sure, especially with your other company that you kind of have divested from, but otherwise, you've seen a lot of deals come through. And so you've seen kind of what's going on in skincare right now. What excites you besides RegenX Science, which is very exciting, and the whole idea of regenerative science is just really taking over skincare? Is there something else that you think, wow, that's pretty innovative that you've seen or come across?
So I I think that something coming from outside the industry, and that this may not be the answer you're looking for, but coming from outside the industry, I was shocked at how prevalent the issues are. How it seems that almost everyone that I meet, that, we get into a discussion and they'll say, oh, here, let me show you this, wound I have that never healed properly, that scarred forever, that, or psoriasis, eczema, dry, like there's so many issues that if you have this dry skin and you're itching all day and you're uncomfortable, that you can't get anything done. So I was really surprised at how skin affects so many, and how, sometimes people won't even leave the house because if they have something wrong with their face or, their appearance, they're covering it up, or someone will tell me, oh, I always wear a shirt when I go to the pool, or I never take my shirt off because I have, this little tiny something. And if we can erase that, if we can cure that, just very easily, that's a game changer. And I'm surprised that it hasn't come out before. I'm sure there's lots of other brilliant ideas out there, and that we definitely will be finding, the solutions in nature, just as we did. Just right. They've been out there all along, and we just have to find them. What are some of your favorites, Ted?
Well, I think, but just to go back, because I think it's really interesting what you just said in regards to the vast majority of people have a skin issue that they're dealing with, whether they want to discuss it or not. They have something they're dealing with, whether, like you said, it's a wound that needs to be healed, or it's dryness, or it's itching, or something like that. And it's frustrating to hear that because of all the amazing science and innovation that has been going on, especially over the last 10 to 15 years in dermatology. And I think it speaks to the fact that so many people in this country don't have access to great healthcare, or to a dermatologist. There's just not enough of us. And so it is, therefore, we do need to look askance from the dermatology community to the skincare community, for example, to help these people. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but I think that's what kind of the idea here is. Like, there's such an opportunity to help people who don't have access to a dermatologist, but do have access to a grocery store or a drugstore or the internet to purchase something that could help them. And we just need to continue to develop these great products that address issues that a lot of people have. And whether it is brown spots, whether it is itching, or, whatever's in between, we need to have products for those. And so many companies are working on that. But to your exact question of what I'm excited about, I think a lot of what you're doing is what's exciting to me, kind of looking at nature, looking at the regenerative capacity of different proteins. And I'm excited about that. I'm excited about kind of 5 to 10 years from now, when we are looking at how can we even bypass the hallmarks of aging and go directly and direct the cells what to produce, and such that we have true personalized skincare and personalized medicine. And we're able to measure the effects, not just by looking at the skin, by also measuring the skin via non-invasive testing, whether that be the biologic aging of the skin or some other biomarker for skin disease. I think that's what's really exciting as we look in the crystal ball of what's to come for our aesthetic and our medical patients. I think that really is going to be a game changer. So, Beth, thank you so much for your time today. We've actually, it goes by so fast every time.
It really did. Yes. That was quick.
Yeah, it's quick, right? But thank you. I think the people listening to this will really learn a lot from you, because you have been so successful. And thank you for sharing some of your wisdom with us, and wishing you continued success with RegenX Science. I think there's, this is a company that we all need to kind of keep an eye on, because there's a lot of good stuff coming.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're excited to see you at Science of Skincare.
Yeah. So the Science of Skin Summit is happening September 5th through the 7th in Austin in 2025. You can check us out, scienceofskinsummit.com, to register. We'd love to have you. Otherwise, thank you again. If you like this episode, please share it with your friends. We found that our growth is really from word of mouth. So make sure everybody in the skincare community that you know knows about what we're trying to do here. And thank you very much. We'll see you in Austin. Thanks, Beth.
Absolutely.